All right, so everyone's heard the buzz about this phone, right? You've seen the ads, but is the Nothing Phone 3A Pro really a strong contender? Or is that all just, marketing hype?
Mm.
Well, today we're going to find out. We're diving deep into a really detailed review from TechWise Corner. It was published March 11th, 2025, and to help you decide if this phone is something you want to spend your money on.
I think what's really interesting about this phone is nothing's ambition with it.
Mm-hmm.
They really want to shake up the smartphone market.
Yeah.
They're going for this kind of minimalist vibe, almost like a breath of fresh air
Right.
in a world of, all these flashy, feature-packed devices.
Yeah, and that ambition is really clear right from the beginning with the design. It's really turning heads. I'm talking about that transparent back panel.
Oh, yeah.
Like you can actually see the phone's guts through it.
It's pretty wild.
So is this pure gimmick, or is it actually like a stroke of genius?
I think it's definitely a statement piece.
Okay.
Functionally, it doesn't add much.
Right.
But it really plays into their brand identity, and it helps them stand out. I mean, just think about it.
Yeah.
When you're looking at a sea of phones that all kind of look the same, this one's going to catch your eye.
Yeah, I think they're saying, hey, we're not hiding anything. This is what makes us tick.
Exactly.
The review also mentions that it has this really sleek matte black finish and an aluminum frame that feels really premium.
Yeah.
Which isn't bad for a phone that's not even trying to be a flagship,
No, they're clearly aiming for that premium feel without the premium price tag.
Yeah.
And speaking of premium, let's talk about that display.
Okay.
A 6.77-inch flexible AMOLED screen that's not just big, it's beautiful.
Wow.
Vibrant colors, deep contrasts, and a super smooth 120 hertz refresh rate.
Okay, so break it down for me. Why should I care about a flexible AMOLED screen?
Okay.
Is it just about the curved edges?
It's more than just looks. AMOLED technology gives you those really rich colors and deep blacks that make, videos and games really pop. And the flexible part of it allows for those sleek, curved edges, so it makes the phone more comfortable to hold, even though it is a larger phone.
Right.
But the real star of the show is that 120 hertz refresh rate.
Ah, yes, the 120 hertz. I hear all the gamers raving about that.
It makes everything feel really smooth and responsive.
Oh,
Whether you're scrolling through, Instagram or TikTok or playing games or even just navigating through menus,
right.
it's one of those things that you don't realize you need until you experience it.
I see. So it's not just about the numbers. It's about how it actually feels to use the phone.
Exactly.
Okay, well, let's talk about a feature that has all the photographers buzzing that 50MP periscope camera.
Yes.
Is it really as groundbreaking as they're making it out to be?
It's certainly impressive. The periscope lens is a really clever piece of engineering.
Yeah.
It allows for a much greater optical zoom without making the phone, super bulky.
So you're telling me I can finally ditch my bulky DSLR and just use my phone for all my photography needs?
Well, not quite. While the 5x optical zoom is fantastic for, capturing those faraway subjects, the image quality does tend to degrade at the higher zoom levels,
Right.
especially when you push past that optical limit into digital zoom territory.
Yeah, the review mentions it can go all the way up to 60x zoom, but it sounds like I should temper my expectations.
Exactly. But for everyday photography,
That's
and
right.
even for those times when you need a bit more reach, this camera system will give you really great results.
All right, well, let's not forget about the selfie game. A 50MP front-facing camera. That's pretty impressive.
They've clearly prioritized camera performance front and back,
Yeah.
and the review specifically mentions its low-light compatibilities.
So no more grainy selfies in dimly lit bars.
Exactly.
I like it. Okay. But all this fancy tech needs some serious power behind it. What's running under the hood of this thing?
Well, the Nothing Phone 3A Pro is powered by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset,
Okay.
and it's paired with 12 GBs of RAM,
Wow.
which is pretty generous.
Yeah.
It's not the absolute top-tier processor out there,
Right.
but it's still a powerhouse.
Okay, so for everyday tasks like browsing social media, even some casual gaming, I should be good to go.
Absolutely. It'll handle all of that with ease. The review did mention some potential for throttling
Oh,
during really extended hardcore gaming sessions,
okay.
but for most users that won't be an issue.
So unless you're planning to spend hours, battling dragons or racing virtual cars, you're probably not going to push this phone to its limits.
Exactly.
Got it. But, performance isn't just about the hardware. It's also about the software.
Right.
So tell me more about Nothing OS 3.0. Is it as sleek and minimalist as the phone's design?
It's definitely in line with their overall design philosophy, clean, uncluttered, and focused on those essential features.
Okay.
It's a breath of fresh air compared to some of the more bloated Android skins out there.
Yeah, the review also mentioned this unique feature called the glyph interface.
Oh, yeah.
What is that all about?
So the glyph interface uses a series of LED lights on the back of the phone
Huh, interesting.
to visually represent, your notifications and charging status.
Yeah.
It's definitely cool and unique.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth considering whether it really offers, actual value beyond just the novelty of it.
So it's more than a gimmick, but it's not necessarily a game changer.
Right.
Some people might love it, others might not,
It's all about personal preference.
Exactly. And speaking of preference, let's talk about another aspect that might divide users' battery life. The Nothing Phone 3A Pro has a 4,700 mAh battery. Is that enough to get you through a busy day?
It's a decent size.
Yeah.
What did the review say?
Yeah? Does it live up to the hype?
They found that it comfortably lasts for a full day with moderate use.
Okay, and what does moderate use really entail? I'm picturing, lots of scrolling through social media, taking some photos, and watching a few YouTube videos.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. They even gave some specific examples, like 30 minutes of Netflix only drained 15%
Oh, wow.
of the battery.
Okay.
And if you need a quick boost, the phone supports 50W wired charging.
50W, that's pretty steady.
It is?
So we're talking about a full charge in under an hour.
Yeah. According to the review, it only takes 45 minutes to go from 0 to 100%.
Wow. Okay, so the battery life seems pretty solid, and that charging speed is seriously impressive. But there's one pretty glaring omission here that I have to ask about wireless charging.
Yeah.
What happened there?
It seems like they decided to just skip that feature, maybe to keep the costs down.
Is that a deal breaker, though? I
Hmm.
mean, with wire charging that fast, do you really even need wireless charging?
It really depends on your usage habits and preferences.
Okay.
Some people really love the convenience of wireless charging,
Right.
while others don't mind plugging in their phone for, a quick boost.
So it's a trade-off like most things in life.
Exactly.
You gain that super fast wired charging, but you lose the convenience of wireless. Before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, are there any other notable features we should touch on?
Yeah, let's see. The review highlighted the stereo speakers with Dolby Atmos support,
Oh, nice.
an in-display fingerprint scanner for quick unlocking, splash resistance, and robust connectivity. You've got 5G Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.3.
Wow. So they've really packed a lot of features in there. But the real question is, does the Nothing Phone 3A Pro actually live up to its strong contender status?
Yeah.
We'll dig a little deeper into that question after a quick break.
Sounds good. It's interesting they decided to leave out like a formal IP rating for dust and water resistance.
Yeah, that did stand out to me too, especially since, they're going for that premium feel.
Yeah.
The review only mentions splash resistance,
Right.
so it'll probably survive like a little rain or an accidental spill, but you probably don't want to take it swimming with you.
Yeah, maybe they had to make some compromises to get that, attractive price point.
Right, because speaking of the price, £649 is pretty aggressive for a phone with these specs.
Yeah,
It's way less than you'd pay for a flagship from like Samsung or Apple.
it is.
It seems like Nothing is really trying to shake things up by offering like high-end features, but at a mid-range price.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a smart strategy. They're targeting that sweet spot,
Right.
Consumers who want the best of both worlds. They want that premium design and performance, but without that, really high price tag.
It's like they're saying you don't have to spend a fortune to get a great phone.
Exactly.
But what are some of the compromises they had to make to hit that price point? We talked about the lack of wireless charging and the IP rating, but are there other areas where they cut corners?
Well, like we said earlier, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset, while it is powerful, it's not the absolute, most cutting edge.
Right.
There are definitely more powerful processors out there, but the difference in performance is going to be pretty small for most users.
So unless you're like a super hardcore mobile gamer
Right.
or someone who's always pushing their phone to the limit, this chipset should be more than enough.
Yeah, for sure. It's all about finding that balance between performance and price.
Right.
And that brings us back to the software, that minimalist approach to Nothing OS.
Yeah.
It might not be for everyone.
The review called it a double-edged sword. What did they mean by that?
Well, I think some users are really going to appreciate the clean, clutter-free interface and the focus on essential features.
Right.
But then there are going to be people who are used to those more customizable Android skins,
Right.
and they might find it a bit limiting.
Yeah, so it comes down to personal preference.
Exactly.
Some people really like simplicity, and others, they want all that control and customization.
It's like choosing between a streamlined sports car
Okay.
and a fully loaded SUV. Both have their pros and cons, and it really depends on your individual needs and priorities.
But no matter your software preferences, there's no denying that. Nothing is really shaking things up in the smartphone market.
They're not just another brand putting out generic devices.
No, they're not.
They have a vision, and they're not afraid to, challenge the status quo.
It's refreshing to see a new player come in and push the boundaries a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's good for consumers.
Yeah.
It leads to more competition, more innovation, and ultimately better value. So the Nothing Phone 3A Pro might not be perfect, but it's definitely a good option for people who are looking for a stylish, well-built phone
Yeah.
with great features at a really competitive price.
It's a sign of the times. We're seeing this shift in the market where consumers are becoming more discerning.
Right.
They're not just looking for the most expensive device or the one with the most features. They're looking for value, a phone that meets their specific needs without, breaking the bank.
And the Nothing Phone 3A Pro seems to do just that.
Yeah.
But let's zoom out for a second and think about the bigger picture.
Okay.
What does the emergence of a brand like? Nothing. Tell us about the current state of the smartphone industry.
I think it tells us that the industry is ready for some disruption.
Okay.
The big players have gotten a little complacent, just putting out small updates year after year.
Yeah.
And consumers are looking for something new, something different, something that challenges the norms.
And Nothing seems to be tapping into that feeling, their minimalist design, their focus on those essential features, their willingness to try new things. It's resonating with a lot of consumers who are tired of the same old, same old.
It's like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
It reminds us that technology can be exciting and innovative again.
Exactly. And it's not just about the devices themselves. It's about the message they're sending.
Right. Right.
Nothing is all about going against the grain, doing things differently, putting the user experience first.
It's a bold vision. It'll be interesting to see if they can keep this momentum going.
Yeah, they definitely made a splash with this phone, the 3A Pro.
Yeah.
But the real challenge is, can they continue to innovate and evolve while staying true to their core principles?
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what they do next. Will they, refine their current design or go in some totally new direction?
Yeah.
Will they branch out into other products or really focus on their smartphones?
Right.
Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure. Nothing is a brand to watch.
They've got our attention, and they've given us a lot to think about. But before we get too caught up in predicting the future, let's bring it back to the present and talk about something that's often overlooked in these tech conversations, the human element.
Ah, yes. We can get so focused on the specs and the features that we forget that technology is ultimately just a tool.
Right.
It's a means to an end. The real question is, how does this technology impact our lives, our relationships, our sense of self?
Exactly. So what does the Nothing Phone 3A Pro tell us about ourselves, about our values, about what we want?
Well, on the surface, it speaks to our desire for simplicity,
Okay.
for a break from, the constant notifications and distractions.
Like a digital detox, but in a sleek, minimalist package.
Exactly. But I think it goes even deeper than that. It also speaks to our desire for authenticity, for products that are well-made and thoughtfully designed.
It's like rejecting that disposable, mass-produced culture that we've become so used to.
Right. And it's also a statement about individuality in a world where everyone seems to have the same phone. The Nothing Phone 3A Pro stands out, saying, I'm not afraid to be different.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to choose something that reflects my own personal style.
It's like a badge of honor, a way to express your own unique personality.
And it's also a reminder that technology can be beautiful.
Yeah.
That transparent, the sleek lines, the understated elegance. It's so different from those generic slabs of glass and metal that we've come to expect from smartphones.
Almost like a work of art.
Yeah.
Something you'd want to display on your desk instead of hiding it in your pocket.
Yeah.
But beyond the looks, there's also a sense of practicality to the Nothing Phone 3A Pro.
Right.
It's not trying to be everything for everyone.
It focuses on the essentials, on giving you a great user experience without weighing you down with features you don't need.
Right. It's a phone for people who value quality over quantity.
Yeah.
For people who appreciate the beauty of simplicity.
It's a refreshing change of pace in a world that's always pushing us to do more, have more, be more.
It's a reminder that sometimes less is more.
Exactly.
That we don't need all the bells and whistles to be happy. So the Nothing Phone 3A Pro might not be the most powerful phone out there. It might not have every single new feature, but it's a phone with a soul. A phone that makes a statement. A phone that reflects our values and aspirations.
It's a phone that encourages us to slow down, to appreciate the little things, to connect with what really matters.
It's a phone that reminds us that technology can be a force for good, a tool for self-expression, a catalyst for positive change.
And that's a powerful message.
It's really interesting how a phone can get us talking about all this stuff, you know?
I know, right?
It really speaks to Nothing's, ambition with this phone.
Yeah, they're not just selling a device, they're selling an idea.
Yeah, a whole different way of thinking about technology.
Absolutely. They're tapping into that desire we have for tech that's more mindful,
Right.
more intentional, and more in line with our values.
Yeah, the review called the Nothing Phone 3A Pro a bold step forward.
Mm-hmm.
But where does Nothing go from here?
Yeah.
What's next in their plan to shake things up?
Well, they could always focus on improving what they already have.
Yeah.
Maybe a Pro Plus model with even better cameras or a more powerful processor.
Or maybe they'll completely surprise us with something we don't expect at all.
Right.
Like a foldable phone with a transparent hinge.
Oh, wow.
Or a smartwatch with that glyph interface.
That'd be cool.
The possibilities are pretty much endless.
Yeah, I think the important thing for Nothing is to stay true to what they believe.
Right.
Simplicity, innovation, and sustainability.
Yeah.
As long as they stick to those values, I think they'll keep attracting those consumers who are looking for something different.
And who knows, maybe they'll even inspire other brands to do the same.
Yeah,
We might start seeing a whole bunch of minimalist, sustainably minded tech products coming out.
that would be great.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the Nothing Phone 3A Pro, what's the main takeaway for our listeners? What do we want them to remember?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that there's a shift happening in tech right now.
Okay.
Consumers aren't settling for the same old anymore. They want more from the companies they support, more innovation, more transparency, and products that reflect their values.
And Nothing is a perfect example of a company that's really listening to what people want.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to challenge the way things are done, to experiment, and to make products that are beautiful and have meaning.
The Nothing Phone 3A Pro might not be the right phone for everyone,
Yeah.
but it represents a bigger movement toward a more thoughtful and intentional way of using technology.
And that's something we can all get behind. So the next time you're thinking about buying some new tech, ask yourself, does this product line up with what I believe in? Does it actually make my life better in a way that matters?
Right.
Does it spark joy?
Those are the questions that'll help us have a better and more meaningful relationship with technology.
Well said. And on that note, we'll leave you to think about those questions. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep into the amazing world of tech.